Hey there, everybody. There's been a ton of news in Lorcana, so I'm back here with Andy, and I thought we would do an update. In our last video, I think we talked about how there wasn't enough information out about the game, and I haven't really been paying close attention, but it feels like in the periphery, there's been a ton of stuff happening that I haven't really been following at all, and maybe is there too much stuff out now, Andy? I think I'd love to kind of hear your take and what you think, and we'll kind of go over some of the new stuff that's come out, including a how to play which I think was released a couple days ago. So it's been all over the internet.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of news, that's for sure, over the last few days or maybe week or so. I think a lot of it was spurred by Game Trade Magazine, which is like a retailer, distributor, professional magazine, had like a article about how to play, and
Bring
I
that
think
up right now. Yeah.
Lorcana, like Ravensburger team, was supposed to be launching this at the end of the month. There's like some trade show or something that they were going to be doing, where they were going to be doing like a how to play thing. I think they kind of got mixed up with their own signals, and Game Trade Magazine released before this, so they were kind of forced into releasing all the rules and the rule supplements and starting on, their marketing push. Maybe they were concerted efforts. Who knows? I don't work for Ravensburger, but in any event, there was the quick start rules which came out. It's not the full on rules, but as suspected, this is basically a simplified Magic clone.
With a kind of fixed mana pool, though, right? That which is the big drawback.
Yeah. So I mean, games like Versus System, WoW TCG, the spoils, they all had this kind of take a card from your hand, put it face down. It's a resource now rules. There's a lot of different card games that have variations on that. I don't know if there's like a instant or like interrupt, like a way to interact with your opponent on your opponent's turn. So if everything's kind of sorcery speed, it's kind of, you need to have more interaction, I think.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like a rule of all CCGs, TCGs is interaction with your opponent is good, right?
Yeah.
And it can get a little abusive when the stack has 30 cards in it in Magic or in like Star Wars, where it gets very convoluted sometimes. But I think generally interaction is good.
Yeah, and rather than being start with 20 life and work your way down to 0, this is a start at 0 and work your way up to 20 based on some arbitrary icons on a character, how much life they gain you essentially when they attack to win the game. My kind of bigger concern with it, I mean, I'm going to collect the game, no doubt. It looks beautiful. The cards look amazing. But most games are resource management based. And so you have this whole, like, you can play one card face down a turn and stuff. But then they introduce these song cards, which I don't know if you've read about any of them, but songs basically have a cost. And then you could play it, tap to, ink and play this song or whatever. But then there's like this sub part where it's like you can tap a character that has power 5 or costs 5, and now you can play this card for free. Like, that probably opens yourself up to a little bit of abuse if you're going to skirt the resource system by allowing characters to tap to play spells for free. It's pretty strong.
So this is such a fun period we're entering, Andy, because this game is going to come out and it's going to get solved in about 45 days, right? Like somebody will figure out the meta, when you only have, I think this set's going to be 300 cards. I'm not even sure.
220 cards.
220 cards. There's going to be a meta. It's going to get solved. There'll be tier 1 deck, tier 2 deck, tier 3 decks. And then you just are in this place where you have to feed the beast. You have to add more cards to the card pool because the game has been solved. That's what happened with Magic and like the Black Lotus, the Power 9. That's why there are broken cards.
It happened with Flesh and Blood. It happened with most games, right? But now you're in a time period where there's, just a lot more people thinking about how to play, the spread of information via the internet and stuff. So yeah, this will get solved pretty quickly, I think. So they're going to have to do something to keep it fresh. I mean, the card mechanics look pretty interesting. They've spoiled a lot of cards, like 60, 70 cards already, which, when you look at them, you're like, oh, the card's probably pretty good. The card's going to get played and limited. This card is probably not really that good, but, and because it's such a clone of Magic, and it's like, and or whatever games that you want to insert there that are like, this game is supposed to fix Magic because of a resource system, WoW TCG versus system, the spoils, force of will TCG, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you can read one of these cards and be like, this card's not going to be good. Like, there's a card that's like mirror on the wall or something like that, and it's like 4 tap, draw a card. It's like, wow, I got Jam Day Tome. Who cares? The card's terrible. You know, so it's very easy to do card assessment with this game. So, but that leaves you with about 150 cards that have not been spoiled yet. And you're about 110 days away from Gen Con as of the filming of this video, which it's the middle of April right now. So you have all of May, June, and July for an August 1 drop at Gen Con, plus half of April. So whatever that is, like 110, 112 days or something like that. Which means they could conceivably release one card every single day from now till the game's released. But I don't think you really want to do that. And the other thing is, like, you don't want to have all the cards spoiled by the time Origins is. Origins is a big game fair that happens in Columbus, Ohio every year, right before, like, the weekend of or the weekend before 4th of July in the US. So, like, you're going to, like, if you have all the cards spoiled by that point, why don't you just release it at Origins? Why are you going to wait for WinCon? Like, a month isn't going to change anything. Plus, Origins has an award ceremony that you can win, like Game of the Year or Best New Product of the Year or something, which you would leverage into your marketing, which Gen Con doesn't have that. And, like, sure, Gen Con's the largest event, pre-pandemic, you were looking at like 75,000 people that went to Gen Con. But there was like 45 or 50,000 that went to Origins. Like, that Venn diagram is almost a circle, right? And, like, the potential to win, like, Best New Product of the Year, are you really gaining that off of the, like, extra 20,000 people that went to Gen Con? Because those are probably people who are doing LARPing or miniature war gaming and that type of stuff, which doesn't have as big of a presence at Origins. It's like, Origins is the, like, in my mind, Origins is like the big CCG fair.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, Gen Con, which is more like RPG and, like, more niche games. And it's like, if you're going to go mainstream, why would you do this in Origins? So if you're going to have every card released by Origins, you should have just released at Origins instead of release at Gen Con. So you don't want every card released by 4th of July, but you need them all released by August 1. And really, you want to probably release them all by, like, July 20th so that people can look at the full spoiler and be ready and stuff like that. So it's like you could release 2 cards a day, basically, almost from now till the middle of July, and have everything on there. So, like, I don't think they're necessarily releasing too much too fast. I think that they need to kind of pace themselves, because you don't want to have everything spoiled by Memorial Day weekend. And then you're just like,
well, then it's like a slow summer. I mean, I think the other thing that's happening right now is there's a lot of speculation about pre-orders, and I think that's the more problematic thing. People are getting excited about the game, and no one's really sure how to get it, and it's creating an environment where scalpers are thriving. And I think just in general, like, you want to have a robust secondary market, because that's going to appeal to collectors and investors or whatever in the product. But if truly there's a bunch of pre-order for a box sitting on eBay for $450, And people like it just feels like that removes the accessibility, and it also creates sort of a barrier to entry because no one's really sure how to get this stuff. Like if I was them, that would be my focus is just assure people there will be enough cards for everybody, right? Which there will be. I just want to say that there absolutely will be.
Well, yes and no. I mean, the people that I've talked to about trying to get my own pre-orders from friends that I have that own actual game stores, when they talk to distributors say this is severely allocated. So if you're a local game store and you want to order 10 cases, you might only end up with 2 or 3, right? You might end up with 7, who knows, but it's allocated, which means that distributors aren't going to have enough to fulfill initial demand. So Ravensburger either needs to this is where I think that you get the fault of not having a real gaming company be able to do this. You don't have allocation problems with Villainous. You don't need 15 like there's nobody out there going, I'm going to buy 15 copies of Villainous expansion. They're going to buy 1, right? But this is CCG. I could easily buy 15 cases of this, right? And so, and otherwise you sell puzzles, and it's like, come on, nobody buys puzzles. Like, let's be honest. So, like, you don't like. I guess that's where I draw this line of like, you either didn't print enough because you didn't anticipate demand, which, come on, you had to have learned that lesson from D23. There's 900 copies of that first 6-card set that to this day have basically not dropped in value and have just basically they've plateaued a little bit, but they continue to just sell for raw for $8,000, $6,000 to $10,000, and graded copies. PSA 9s sell all day at $1,500, and PSA 10s would sell all day at $2,500, $30,000 a piece. And it's like, you didn't learn this lesson back in October that you needed to up your print run on this by a little bit.
I mean, I think that like perhaps there'll be. I hope they don't do this like first print run, second print run in the first 6 months. Like if you want to reprint stuff later, that's fine. But I feel like it's having like even more distinguishing and nuance in the cards doesn't add a lot of value. It just adds a lot to like the frenzy a little bit. But I have to imagine that they will have enough. Like, yes, perhaps in the first 2 to 4 weeks, there might be a shortage, but there will be enough by Christmas, right? That like cards are cheap to print. Right? Like, it is not hard to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there will be enough by Christmas for sure. And there will probably be another set that's releasing by that point as well. But that first like month, that could really
sets the tone,
turn people off, right?
It absolutely sets the tone. If this is a product that's not like you can't get in the hands of gamers who are ultimately going to be the people that you want. Like, yes, I understand that like collecting or like card games are like icebergs. You can only see the 10% of the gamers playing it. That there's the 90% that are collectors below. But like something like this that's intended to be played, you need to have that local game store community. You need to have people playing this game, interacting, having positive experiences, because they're also going to be your collectors. And I think having a bad launch of this in that first month can really taint it and slow momentum and kind of kill future sets, because people are just like, oh, that was such an absolute cluster when it came out. And it's not too late to turn back, guys. Like just get some more cards printed. But
right. And they're not doing a first edition like stamp or anything on them. It's all just one edition. So you could easily go back and reprint cards for a second wave. I mean, but
you might have some like a copyright year on there though, right? You might have 2023 as a copyright year, and then 2024 is
thing.
Yeah,
right. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, they really need the launch of this to go very well. And I think if it does go really well, the game has potential. It's simple. It seems simple enough, but you can read cards and be like, oh, that's probably going to be an interesting deck to build, right?
Right. I mean,
the other thing is they really need organized play. They released this like league kit and like all the stipulations of leagues, and it's like I don't want to play in a league. I just don't. I don't want to commit. I don't want to go 12 weeks. I have a wife and a son. I don't have enough dad and husband capital to be like, oh, I need every Tuesday to go from 6 to 9 to play in the Lorcana League at my local game store. Like, that's not going to happen.
yeah.
So I don't want to participate in a league. There's like, to be honest, like I really just don't want to go back to local game stores to play anyway. They're
Andy,
like,
I will play with you. I just want to say I will play with you. Drive down. We will play together.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like I
can't be the
like,
guy playing a 13-year-old. I was the 13-year-old in the game store, and I remember the guy that was in his 30s playing me. I'm like, who's this loser? I cannot be that loser, right? I can't have it swapped, right? Like it's not good. It's not okay.
Yeah, I don't want to do a league. I mean, I'll buy the league prizes on eBay or something, but like, I don't want to play in a league. I wouldn't play in a like high level PTQ Pro Tour Grand Prix level competitive play. You know, and so everybody would be like, well, why not just play Magic again? And it's like I've moved on from Magic in my life.
I do think there's some appeal. Like I am surprised at reading these rules at how closely, like even going to 20 life, like you could have done 18, you could have done 24. Like just even 20 feels like it's this like foil image or something of the game where it's like it's so close. But I think there's something to say that's like a simpler reskin Magic that, hey, Magic works. I enjoy playing it. It's the best 2-player game you can play, truly. And if this is mimicking that, then that's not a bad thing. So, Andy, I think we're going to start to do a once-a-month update up until launch. This is our April update. We'll do a May update, then June, July. So, folks, you can kind of expect just a monthly update going forward. But I think let's wrap it up here, kind of keep it at a reasonable length. I know we can always talk for hours here, but please leave comments, thoughts, questions about the game. What do you think about Lorcana? I'd love to hear what sort of people in the community think. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Andy's also got a cool channel. Check it out. It's like 9-hour videos on Star Wars stuff. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.